Hello there, everyone, and welcome to Agripreneur TV. My name is David Akana. Today, we are welcoming the outgoing Director for Research and Innovation here in CORAF, Professor Abdulai Jalloh. Professor, welcome.
Thank you.
First of all, this is pretty much your last day in CORAF. How do you feel?
Mixed feelings.
Okay.
Happy I'm going home to join my family.
Okay.
But also reflecting back that I've been able to come and serve. And I think I have not done badly at all. I can look back at people I've met, the things that we have done, the initiatives, all geared towards improving the welfare of the people in the region. I'm going with a lot of experience, which I will put into my own business in my next life.
Excellent. We'll come back to that at some point. Let us get down to substantive issues right now. Let's talk a little bit about the state of agricultural research and development in West and Central Africa, something that you've been working on a lot for the last 10 years. Just 10 years ago, this region had a lot of challenges. If you talked about capacity, there was inadequate capacity in the NAS, which are the Agricultural Research Institutes. If you talk about funding, there was little funding. If you talk about the next generation of scientists, you did not have them a lot. In fact, the trends were not good. Speak to us a little bit about that and the journey you've been able to make in the last 10 years and the progress you've been able to make.
Well, you are limiting me to last 10 years. I think as I sit here and I'm talking about, thinking about the past 30, 33 years.
Absolutely.
Of my scientific career. And like you rightly said, yes, there have been challenges at all levels with all the stakeholders, including researchers, the farmers, the business people, policymakers, the political environment, and all that. But with regards to the research system, I think a lot of advances have been made. I can remember the way we did research, the tools we had, communication-wise. But now there has been a lot of innovations, so science has helped to develop technologies, and technologies also help in science.
Absolutely.
Capacity-wise, yes, but I think the important thing is in the past 10 years, there have been some considerable improvement, advances in agricultural development. We have more trained scientists in various areas. We have breeders, we have agronomists, post-harvest technologists, entomologists, you name them.
All right.
I think we have an increasing number of our people that have been trained, and we are also moving over. The mindset is also changing in that scientists are increasingly believing that they don't have all the solutions, and until they talk to the farmers and put themselves in the position of the farmers, they will not be able to actually understand. I think the innovation platform that CORAF is using has been a tremendous platform that has enabled people to come together, look at issues, decide which ones are need urgent attention, and devise ways of tackling those issues. Scientists have also been able to, the research system has also been able to move towards policymakers.
Excellent.
Because it's evident now that no matter what you do, the research you do, if you don't have the enabling environment, things will not move at all.
Absolutely.
So researchers are talking to policymakers, and policymakers as well are beginning to appreciate the outputs of research because it's helping them to deliver.
Right.
So I think by and large we are moving in the right direction.
Excellent.
We are not there yet, but we are moving in the right direction.
Excellent. Let us come back to the issue of new researchers, or what you've said. We've been able to train a lot of researchers in the last 10 years. A lot of this work has been facilitated by CORAF, for whom we've been working for the last 10 years or so. Speak to us a little bit about that, and what are those researchers doing today in terms of bringing real solutions in their countries?
You see, CORAF has really done a whole lot, in the sense that CORAF has been able to play a coordinating role, because, as you know, the countries in the region or in the world at various levels, and bringing these people together, bringing the country together, having comparative advantage, capitalizing on comparative advantage, and catalyzing the sharing mentality that has made it possible for opportunities to arise. For example, CORAF has been able to set up what we call the regional centers of specialization.
Right.
These are technical, thematic areas that address issues across the region. And through projects like WAP, the MDTF, CORAF has been able to coordinate the training of a whole lot, I think more than 1,000 postgraduate students. And the important thing we need to really note here is that there has been, during this process of capacity building, a lot of emphasis, CORAF has put a lot of emphasis on training women.
Excellent.
A good number of women have been trained. We have a very strong gender officer who has been really promoting gender. And I think anybody that passes through the walls of CORAF will be sensitized as to how we look at gender.
Excellent.
And I think it's paying off. It's paying off. So a lot of capacity has been built in various areas, in new areas, in IT, in basic sciences, in nutrition, in processing and things like that.
Excellent.
I think, and this is absolutely necessary for us to move forward.
So would you say that you're living happier, feeling good about what progress you've been able to make? Of course, in the last 33 years, a little bit the last 10 years working for CORAF?
Well, certainly. I mean, because if you look at yourself and see what you want in life, I mean, you don't want to be the end of everything. You want to be a catalyst, to
Absolutely.
be able to impart knowledge and make sure that after you, people are able to take over. I am here today because there was somebody who held my hand and led me. And I think if I look back, I've also been able to support younger scientists across the region, from Sierra Leone at the national level to the regional level to the international level. I feel very good that I've been able to contribute to the advancement of a whole lot of young scientists, some who are having high positions now in the region and making names.
Excellent. Well, if you're just joining us, this is Agripreneur TV, and we are hosting today the outgoing Director for Research and Innovation here in CORAF. The last 3 years or 4 years of your contribution have mostly been around implementing the operational plan 2018-2022. What level of progress have you made as far as that operational plan is concerned, sir?
Oh, fine. I mean, like you see, CORAF thinks for the region. As a matter of fact, the strategic plan and the associated operational plan is a product of what people think we should be doing together in the region.
Right.
And that document is just reflecting that. But I think I'm very proud to note that significant effort has been made. We've just passed midway of the current operational plan last year, and the results are very, very encouraging.
Could you speak about some of those results, if you don't mind?
There are various indicators. The indicators will talk about the things we'll be talking about: people that have been trained, number of technologies that have been generated, and partnerships that have been made, number of innovation platforms that have been established, and so on and so forth. Varieties that have been developed, management practices that have been developed, and but I think the other important aspect, of course, which the current operational plan really emphasizes, is upscaling of technologies.
Right.
Because over the years,
and for somebody who is not in this business, what's upscaling of technologies?
Well, over the years, we've been talking about developing technologies for this, X, Y, and Z, for soil fertility. How do you improve the quality of foods? How do you make sure that fertilizer is properly utilized? How do you make sure that farmers plant at the right time? When do they have the right information and things like that? So those hardware, that is the product themselves, and the software, that is the knowledge, the thing that goes with it, things like that. Those are the technologies, right? And then you need many more people to use to adopt these technologies.
Absolutely.
So, the more people use it, you want to upscale. Send it out. Let me put it very simply. Send it out to as many farmers as possible, so that if they adopt, if many of the farmers are using local varieties, the more farmers use improved varieties, the more yield they will realize, and the more increase in agricultural production.
Right.
So for now, I think there is an emphasis. There are emphasis on scaling out these technologies, and we are looking at various efforts, and that is now has been looked at as a science. Because people are just talking about extension the other day. Now people know that it's scaling out is real, involves science.
Absolutely.
And it's helping a whole lot.
Excellent. So if you're looking at the last 3 years, you've made a lot of progress based on what you're telling us. So what's left with respect to the operational plan? Because it looks like you're already thinking through another phase of the operational plan for the current, the 10-year strategic plan.
Yeah, like I said, considerable effort has been done. We are just midterm, and there is no significant shift really. But you will agree with me that there are emerging issues, and when we wrote that operational plan, there was no COVID.
Absolutely.
So that is a new scenario altogether. And luckily, you're talking about one health systems now. One health system.
Absolutely.
Which looks at, the natural environment, where agriculture is dealing with the natural environment. People are interacting with the forest, and all that interaction has an impact. How do you manage it? So there are these biorisks, that are there. So that is an area that will be pursued. Digitization is another one. It's growing. They are there in the current operational plan, but they are not. They have to be contextualized now, because these are becoming much more prevalent. There is more of a reality now than they used to be. So it's a matter of just actually tweaking the next operational plan so that it can catch up with what's going on.
Let me ask you some very personal questions. You got the CORAF in 2009, and you're living in 2021. What has been your most memorable or satisfying moment in this experience?
Well, that's a difficult question. I would say, I'm not somebody who always say, the year is ending, I want to make a resolution for next year. Every day I lie down when I go to bed, I end the day by saying, what do I do tomorrow? What do I address? I look at the short term and how does it fit into the medium term and how does it fit into the long term.
Absolutely.
So really, I mean, I've been part of a whole lot of challenges and trying to see how we can solve these problems. And in each of those, I can tell you, I mean, there have been a lot of, because when you succeed one way or the other, you have satisfaction. And I think it is the satisfaction that has been keeping me up. Otherwise, I would have left and gone. But I feel that my contribution is meaningful together with other people, and we are all moving together. We are solving problems. So that is what has been keeping me up.
I know you don't want to get into a lot of specifics, and I know you want to sort of highlight the teamwork more than anything else. But I think the audience will be very happy to know exactly where you felt most satisfied, either when you worked as a manager before in your first, the first time you worked in the organization, or after you came back as a director for research and innovation. In any ways, what is anything that you think would have been done differently? If you had to do it all over again?
If I have to do something different, I mean, you see, I'm somebody who learns.
Right.
And I can tell you that when I go for field trips, when I visit farms, you will see the same picture of poverty. Although now you can see some advancement, you will see roads, you will see people taking up new varieties and so on and so forth. And but the challenges are always there, and you want to make sure that you keep up with them, you are alert to them. And I believe over the years I have come to learn that we need to understand, appreciate, and respect all stakeholders. And I believe that is important, because no one group of, the innovation platform is something that actually taught me as to how do we do things together. If there is anything I really learned over the years, is that aspect of collectively coming together, moving from my own small silo and saying that when I come to the table, I'm bringing something that will add to what other people will bring, and we can all move together.
Absolutely.
And then you will always continue to learn. You will always continue to learn.
You said that you had worked for 33 years. Let's just speak a little bit about research and development in your own native Sierra Leone. Where are we today with respect to the state of research and development?
Well, I think Sierra Leone, like the other regions, has advanced. I left Sierra Leone 10 years ago, and I had opted for the new position of Director General of the Research System. And it's an interesting story, and I was told I had all it took to become, but I didn't have international experience. And one of my good friends, who had international experience, was there. So that is actually why I left Sierra Leone, to come and gain international experience.
That's a good one.
And I have been in touch with the national system in Sierra Leone. I've been able to support them. I've been adjunct professor in the university, because when you talk about the research system, we talk about, the National Agricultural Research System. which is not only the research institutes, it's the research institutes, the universities, the extension system, the private sector, I mean, all of those people there. So over the years, I mean, it has moved, and thanks to CORAF, because CORAF is bringing countries together. Sierra Leone is hosting the National Center for Specialization for Mangrove Rice. Sierra Leone has a long history of rice research.
Right.
So it's leading that, and it's advancing. I'm in touch with them. They are moving.
Excellent. Just a few questions and just a few perspectives from you so we can close this interview in a few minutes. First of all, relationship between decision makers and research and development. What do you think needs to be done today in our region, but in Africa overall, to make sure that there is sufficient political support to research and development from your perspective?
You see, I know now it's increasingly becoming clear that, you know, politicians are being held accountable. They need to deliver. And one area where you cannot escape is that you have to provide food on the table. And the vast majority of the population are agriculturists. So I've always said the one single sector where you want to impact on the greatest number of lives is the agricultural sector. And for governments to deliver, I mean, they have the agricultural productivity has to be positive. Has to increase.
Absolutely.
And I think, like I said earlier on, increasingly the politicians are realizing that they will need research results to support agricultural production. And the researchers also now know that they need political support to have funds, to have the enabling environment and things like that. So it's a win-win situation. And I think both partners, both parties are realizing that. And the more I think we can really get together and appreciate the fact that the more we work together, the better it will be for all of us and for the people who are working for. It will be good.
Excellent. Very important point there. Do you think that the science that we have today, science, innovation, and technologies that we have today in West and Central Africa, which are the area of coverage of CORAF, are actually adapted to solving the urgent and the emerging problems that we have in the region today? Notably, you've talked a little bit about issues about bioaggressors, you've talked about COVID-19, climate change. Do you think we have science that can really address these different stressors of our agriculture?
You see, I mean, the challenges are always coming there. And like we said, like we started earlier on, there has been a lot of improvement in terms of capacity to do research, the tools to do research. Those ones are there. And I also think the blend, I mean, a lot like, as you know, there are about 9 regional centers of specialization. These have been identified as having a comparative advantage to be able to coordinate thematic issues across the region. These are high standard. They have sophisticated equipment. They have trained manpower. And they are now linking up also with other international research institutions to solve the problems that we have. So to a large extent, I'm not saying we have everything, but to a large extent, the capacity is there to tackle the issues.
What about CORAF's positioning in this region? Today, where do you think we stand? What still needs to be done from your perspective as we exit?
I think CORAF is increasingly gaining the attention of the region based purely on the results that CORAF has produced over the years. We've talked about building the capacity of researchers. We've talked about lobbying for funds, making funds available to do research and development, and also having the convening power to bring together the policymakers that will make things happen. So CORAF has been playing a very significant role, and I think it will just continue. I mean, that is why, you know, for example, the harmonization of seed regulations. CORAF is hosting the secretariat. It is because of CORAF's experience in the region that it has been given that one. And CORAF has been doing so well, bringing people together, making sure that the varieties that are developed in the countries are recorded in the regional catalog. And once you have a variety in the regional catalog, it can pass from one region to another. And we are talking about outscaling, so it means you have a broader area. You know, for also we are talking about the private sector. We've not talked too much about that in this discussion. It's absolutely important. The private sector people can now see that they can sell beyond their national boundaries. They can take advantage of what we call economics of scale. So they can, the gentleman in Sawadogo we have in Burkina Faso is exporting rice all over the place. I mean, his market has broadened, so he will produce more. And then, there we are.
Excellent answers. Let us just talk a bit about the relationship between this work and youths. How do you get youths involved? How do you get youths involved into agriculture? But mostly from our own part, how do you get youths picking up technologies and being able to give themselves a chance in life?
You see, unfortunately, agriculture has been looked at as well, not looked at. It has been a very labor-intensive enterprise, right? And nobody would want to really undergo drudgery unless you don't have a choice. So it's not only youths. I mean, everybody is running away from agriculture. But I think now the concept is changing. People have realized that you need to mechanize agriculture. If you mechanize agriculture, you are not only reducing the drudgery, you are also making it efficient to make sure that you can do things faster and better and things like that.
Absolutely.
And we now have digitization, we have marketing. So there are a lot of options out there across the value chain for youths to come in. There are a lot of opportunities. I mean, if you go to East Africa, people are developing apps, the marketing things like that. So there are a lot of opportunities. It's not only the physical one of producing, but even at that one. I mean, there are things, you know, that instead of, you now know about aquaculture. I mean, these are small capital outfits that youths can have access to and then do business, and depending on how enterprising they are, they can expand and then move. So it's becoming a field. It's becoming very attractive now.
Let us end this interview with the words that you might have, any guidance or any words that you might have for your successor.
Well, I mean,
we know you have a handover note that you're going to prepare for him or her, but the question is there anything that you'd want them to know in terms of the challenges, in terms of how they take things forward to be able to get this region to food and nutrition security?
Well, I mean, we are all different, but what is clear is that CORAF has a blueprint. CORAF has a strategic plan. CORAF has an operational plan. That is the Bible that has been put down Absolutely. By the people of this region, farmers, development partners, and there is a direction. My advice is to, as much as possible, try to see how you can move that forward. You will never go wrong that way.
Excellent, great. Well, if you're just joining us, we are welcoming today the outgoing Director for Research and Innovation here in CORAF, Professor Abdulai Jalloh. Sir, we want to thank you so much. What are the plans for the vacation or for the retirement?
Well, I'm going into farming. I think that is the excitement that I have now. As you know, many of us scientists would, I mean, after years of prescribing to farmers what to do and blaming them that things are not working, I really think I should go down there and put into practice what I have learned and what I've been telling people to do. And I think in the next 4 to 5 years, I will be in a very good position to further contribute to agricultural development by saying, hey guys, I was part of you. This is how we should go. And I'm looking forward to that.
Would the students of the University of Jalloh, other universities in Sierra Leone, be able to have you in the amphis, helping to share some of this knowledge with them?
Certainly. In fact, like I'm talking to you, I'm an adjunct professor in the university. And besides that, my enterprise will be a farm academy. So there will be opportunities for youths to come in and learn. I mean, but mainly targeting youths to come in and learn. And what I'm looking forward to is to be able to have a capital wherein very enterprising students can have access to small loans to start business on their own.
Excellent, great. Well, thank you again, Professor Jalloh. It was a great opportunity to have you, particularly as we exit this organization and heading into another experience. We want to wish you all the best and a happy retirement.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure for me.
Thank you. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of this interview, and we had as our guest today, Professor Abdulai Jalloh, Director for Research and Innovation here in CORAF. Thank you very much for listening, and please do not forget to sign up to Agripreneur TV anytime. Thank you. Bye-bye.